Now, a lot of people have got to know you through the second series and the first series of The Voice.
Yeah.
And you were a really passionate judge. I loved watching you.
Thank you.
Was it important to you to do The Voice and actually be a mentor to young singers?
The weirdest thing is that when I was asked to do it, I just wanted to be somebody that could teach people about something they want to do that I'm doing. That was it. I was like, oh, so I get to like coach them and like teach them breathing exercises and scales and stuff. That was what excited me the most. And this is the honest truth. I've never actually told anyone this, but I didn't realise how big my role was. And on the first day of filming, I actually walked off set and went, whoa, this is a bit much. I was freaked out. I was like really nervous. And then you realise you're the only female and everyone's eyes are on you and you have to say something very eloquent or constructive. And I was like, am I ready for this? And I did have a little moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Did it affect you being the only female judge?
I felt the pressure of being the only female. But once I kind of relaxed and came out of being on the stage mode and promoting yourself, I realised I can do this. And that's when the honest, passionate coach decided to come out and enjoy the series, yeah.
Well, she did come out. Because, obviously, you yourself, I'm not sure many people know this, appeared on a TV talent show as a young Jessica Cornish, Britain's brilliant prodigies in the pop section. Did that help you, though, relate to the people trying to get through on The Voice?
Every day I relate to the people that are on The Voice because we're all still in the same position. Everybody's striving for the same dream. We're all just at different stages. I remember doing that show because I was still doing musical theatre and the pop world was intriguing to me, but it wasn't my dream. I didn't feel like I was good enough for it. And I remember winning and I was like, whoa. I was 15. I was so excited.
You grew up singing, but you still got knockbacks when you were at school with quite a nasty sounding music teacher. What happened there?
Oh, I remember I was in year 7, so I was like 11 years old. And I remember going to see my music teacher and saying I want to be in the choir. And I remember so clearly the reaction. And he went to me, no, you're too good, you're too loud. And I was like, whoa, what? He was like, the parents won't appreciate you being in shows and you'll stick out too much. And I was like, wow. So I think that was the first experience that I had of people that don't want to support talent in any form. Someone that just did not want to believe. And that kind of shut me down. And I never sang at secondary school. I didn't study music. I didn't sing. And it just became my little secret. Yeah.
The other battle that you had to deal with is that you were actually very ill as a child. You were in Great Ormond Street Hospital. And then when you were 18, you actually had a stroke.
Yeah. I remember just having pins and needles down my right side. And I lost the feeling in my right side for about 3 weeks. And I was in hospital and I had tests for days and it was horrible. But if anything, it taught me a lesson, you know. Life isn't guaranteed. You just got to make sure that you adapt your lifestyle to fit your body because not everyone's the same.
When you were in Great Ormond Street, what's your actual condition?
My dad has Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is a condition of the heart valves. Both myself and my dad have had an ablation. They put the wires into your heart valves and try and zap it into a normal rhythm. My dad's didn't work and neither did mine.
Because it manifests itself as an irregular
so I basically have an irregular heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And in terms of Big White Room, because that was your first song, wasn't it? And this was an idea you had when you were an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
You actually wrote at 17, which was inspired by your time in hospital.
I remember so clearly I was in Ladybird ward and it was a room with myself and this young boy across from me. And he was very ill, having a heart transplant. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night and going, what's that noise? And being a bit kind of disorientated and seeing him on the floor praying for about 3 hours, just asking to stay alive and begging God to not let him go. And he wants to save his family and grow up. And he was 10. And I remember listening to him and I remember not really understanding what he was doing. But I'd never seen that kind of plea to be saved. And he died the next morning. And it just stuck with me for so long that I was the last person to see him yearn for his life. And I remember saying to my mum, why wasn't he saved? And I remember writing Big White Room. And I remember writing exactly how I felt in that moment when I cried and cried and cried the night after the little boy died.
Another experience that you have written about in your first album was being bullied at school.
I was on beta blockers, so if that was basically a very, very strong drug that tried to normalise my heartbeat, didn't work. I just went green. Kind of a alien tint. And I had really big teeth and I had a big fringe and I was a bit uncomfortable in my skin. I wasn't the pretty kid. I was the awkward one that didn't really want to play with dolls and preferred playing with Pokemon cards and didn't know who I fit in with, and I wanted to play football. And yeah, there's always those kids that don't get the love they need at home that project that to other kids at school.
And has your rather phenomenal self-belief come from those experiences?
I wrote a song when I was younger called The Sky Is Her Home, and no one's ever heard it, but it was basically about the only time I felt free was being at home. And I know that not many kids have that. I'm very, very lucky that I could talk to my mum and dad and my sisters, and we were a very open family, and we'd had like weekly conferences and my mum and dad would be like, right, what's going on in your life? And that definitely helped me get through that.
And in terms of your sisters, you're the baby
I am the
three.
baby.
They're very academic. They were both head girls at your school, but you say you weren't, and
Nope.
instead you went to the Brit school with the likes of Adele when you were 16. What was that experience like?
It sounds weird, but I wasn't Jessie J then, and I didn't know I was going to be. So when I was at school, like, I'm very focused. I used to get up at 5 a.m. I'd get 6 trains from Essex to Croydon every day. Didn't really make any friends because I went there for a reason. I went there to get my A-levels. And I had to leave 4 months early because of the stroke. And thank God I worked very hard and I managed to get 4 A's. And I loved it. I was a hair model, so I looked crazy. So I had like bright green hair, singing Sweet Charity. It was very weird. But who knows? Without that school, I may not be sitting where I am today.
So you signed with a label here, but then they went bust. So you went to the States. And then you actually had success in America first, signed as a songwriter with Sony, writing some songs for really big name artists like Miley Cyrus, whose song by you, Party in the USA, went to #1. Who else did you write for apart from Miley Cyrus?
Myself, Chris Brown. I've had Christina Aguilera and Mary J. Blige record songs of mine, Alicia Keys, but never used them. It's weird because people think I started out as a songwriter, but any song I wrote that was given away was initially for myself.
It was just over 2.5 years ago when success came finally as a performer in the UK after you won the Brits Critic Choice Award and the BBC Sound of 2011 poll.
Feels like yesterday.
And fame and success came really quite quickly. With the Bullies, I mean, I love the track Who's Laughing Now. I love that video. I just wondered, how cathartic is that to perform as a response to those really early non-believers in you?
It's hilarious because even now, people that have bullied me or done stuff to me even in my older years will come to the gigs and they're in the audience. Whew. That's the biggest, like, inspiration to look at them and go, who's laughing now? You know, they're trying to get in your dressing room and, you know, and hang out and be your best friend and invite you to their party. And you're like, wait a minute, I remember.
In your new single, It's My Party, in the opening lyrics, you say, I'm a grown woman now.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means that, sadly, some of the people that I wrote Who's Laughing Now are still stuck in the playground. But, you know, for me, I feel like I've grown up. I think I look less like a cartoon. I feel like I'm more of a singer, as a musician. I've really found my feet.
A big part of your advice on The Voice to people coming through is all about self-belief. Self-belief, especially for women, is not something that is a typical female trait, or if it is, it's kind of frowned upon, like you're arrogant or you're ambitious.
Yeah, there's a thin line, very much so.
How do you straddle that line then? And how do you not seem arrogant when you're self-believing?
I think I do sometimes, and I've had to accept that. I think being nice and being safe is unfair to yourself when you've got big dreams as a woman. I think that you have to basically prepare yourself that not every single person in this world has the same personality that's going to like yours. If you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. I remember Ash on The Voice. We had this conversation the most because I said to him, you can sing, but you're not enjoying the fact that you can sing. Like, I always put it in perspective as, if I was to have heart surgery and a surgeon come in and went, you know, I'm good, but I'm not, you know, I'm okay, you know, I'm all right, you know, I'm hoping it's going to go well. I'd be like, whoa, bye, see you later. I am the best surgeon. I'm going to make you feel like that you're going to be okay. The one thing I've chosen to be great at in my life is singing. So why not be proud that I'm great at it? You know, I'm not academic, but if I'm good at something, then grab onto it and make that your core of everything you do.
Another element, obviously, of being a woman, though, in the music industry is very much your look and how you come across, and women being marketed as very sexual objects, some may say.
Yeah.
And something very bold that you did recently, and I can see it's growing back,
Yeah, it's
was
going
shave
back.
your head
Yeah,
for
I
comic
did.
relief,
Yeah.
which was, you know, a big thing to do. And I just wondered, what are your views on women being marketed as sex objects in the music industry, and how you yourself respond to that as a songwriter, as a performer, and as a woman?
I feel that life is all about choices. Trust me when I say I've been put in a position where I've had label executives say to me, okay, well, we see you in a bikini. We're going to have you laying, like, rolling in some grass. And I'm sitting there going, so what's that going to teach people then? Like, what is that saying? I think it's so sexy to be confident. I think there's a very thin line between being sexy for yourself and being sexy for other people. For me, I think once I hit 25, I'm so aware of how I carry myself and what I'm wearing and how I dress that it's okay to say no.
But previous to that, I mean, you have said for a long time you're like a therapist to your fans. You've actually said yourself you want to be a role model to your fans, many of whom
it's a
are
scary
young
thing to say, right?
women. It would be easier probably if you didn't sign yourself up to being that. And I just want to understand, you know, how do you feel about being a role model?
It's so weird because everything I do is kind of under the watchful eye. So for me, I'm very aware of the responsibility that I have, the fact that I have a light on me. I want to shift it onto things that are dark. So I spend a lot of my spare time, like every show I have, I meet sick kids before I have a gig, every show. I think it's important to represent what you're leaving behind as your legacy.
You're about empowering girls. You're about being a role model.
100%.
But do you think grabbing your crotch and telling girls to do it like a dude is the right message? Now you look back at it at the mature age of 25, nearly 26.
Of course. I mean, I remember the first time my mum phoned me, she went, the kids in the nursery are singing Do It Like a Dude. And they're doing the dance. And I was like...
Doing the dance for listeners is grabbing your crotch and sort of grinding. So have you grown out of telling women to do it like a dude? Do you think they should do it like a woman?
No, I think I would definitely still go on stage and be like, we can do it like you. The song's about saying, don't try and undermine us as women. We can do it just like you. Like, I'm sitting at the same award ceremony tables. I'm going to the same massive meetings. I'm performing at the Olympics with all these guys. You know, and as a woman, it is tough to get to the top. Like, to get to that respected level in this industry, in any industry, I think.
So would you describe yourself as a feminist?
Oh, this word scares me. Yeah, I'm definitely for women being empowered and equal rights and opportunities. And I definitely think the world is more so on that path than not.
That sounds like a full-on feminist.
Yeah, then maybe I am.
So why are you so scared of it? Jessie, you're not scared of things, are you?
Do you know what it is? I'm on Radio 4, like... Things have changed, like I'm 25 and things are happening, and all of a sudden you realise, like, obviously, like I've talked about being a mum and wanting to have kids, and it spurs a reaction, and I'm like, whoa, isn't that normal? Like,
but I am intrigued by that because you have been quite notoriously private about your
100%.
Private life,
yeah,
about your relationships. What's been the driver for you to say that publicly, that you want to be a mum?
I've always wanted to be a mum. I'm not just Jessie J. You know, when people say, what's the highlight of your life? It's being an aunt. It's being a daughter. It's being a sister. It's being a friend. I have many roles in my life that aren't just Jessie J, you know, that I love. And one of my dreams is to be a mum and teach them everything that I've learned as Jessica Cornish and as Jessie J.
And if we're going to see a more open, grown-up version of yourself, do you think women in the public eye, to get where you've got, need to be aggressive?
They need to be fearless. 100%. You need to be fearless. You just have to be like, I'm going to live and people are going to watch. And if everyone liked me, it would be wrong. I use the shaving the head as an example. It made me laugh so much that the same newspaper ran a story about how I was the world's sweetheart and I was ambassador for confidence and how amazing it was that I'd help raise money for charity. 3 weeks later, when that story is not interesting anymore, double page spread about how I looked awful, I'd lost weight, my head shave made me look like Pat Butcher. And I'm happy I can laugh at those things. And that's why you have to be fearless. You have to have thick skin. Surround yourself by people that love you for you. And whether that's 3 people, that's enough. And that's what I would say to women in this industry, is that we're all going through the same thing. Like, the diva thing on the show made me laugh. Because I was like, who hasn't had it? You know, I spoke to Talisa about it, and Kelly Rowland, Nicole Scherzinger. I know all of them. All had the same thing. You know, no one spoke about Will or Danny or Tom when they were late, but we all were late at some days. Like, we all are for work sometimes. But it's just one of those things. You have to just be like, it is what it is. I'm just going to do me.